This is a classic minestrone. It's a beloved Italian soup that's hearty and healthy. Minestra generally means bigness, and this is big because it has so many ingredients. And they can vary. It includes lots of vegetables, leafy greens, and beans. The foundation of flavor in a minestrone soup is something called a sofrito. It's a common element in Italian soup making, and it consists of a trio of celery, carrots, and onion. And we'll get to the sofrito, but let's do the beans first, because this is what you have to do the day before you make your soup. You need 3/4 of a cup of cannellini beans, and they're really white Italian kidney beans, dried. They're plump and they're creamy, tender beans when they are reconstituted with moisture, and they soak up lots of flavors in which they're cooked. So cover this with water. Water to cover like this, and just let them sit out overnight, 8 to 12 hours. And they plump up to look like this. Look at the difference. Big difference. They more than double in size. And so now these are ready to cook. Strain these. This water can be discarded. And get this right into a deep pot with 1/2 of an onion. Take the outer skin off the onion, and you can cut this into just 3 or 4 chunks. 1 bay leaf. No salt. Salt tends to toughen the beans. And 8 cups of water. If you're a vegetarian, stop here. But if you're not a vegetarian, ask your butcher for the end of a prosciutto. This has skin, fat, and a little bit of the prosciutto meat. And cut this into 2 or 3 pieces and add this to your water. So now bring this to a boil, and reduce the heat to a simmer, and cook for approximately 30 to 45 minutes until the beans are to your taste. Al dente for some and well cooked for others. Now the beans have cooked. They're tender, even plumper than they were after the soaking. They're even cracking a little bit to indicate the nice creamy interior. I'm letting those cool a tiny bit while I start the sofrito. 1/3 of a cup of olive oil, 1 stalk of celery cut up into very fine dice, 1 onion cut up into very fine dice, and 1 carrot. This is the holy trinity of Italy. And if it had green pepper instead of carrot, it would be the Louisiana version of sofrito. So stir this until everything becomes translucent. This will take about 25 to 30 minutes. And now we can strain the beans. I have a strainer set over a measuring cup. You're going to pick out the ham and the onion, leaving the beans themselves. So there. Let these cool a little bit. Beans are ready. So after 25 minutes, the sofrito looks like this. It has a nice golden, deep brown color, and we add 1 medium leek, green and white parts, to this mix. Now, some garlic, 3 cloves of garlic. And this should take about 4 minutes. Now add your carrots, 2 carrots thinly sliced on the diagonal. Coat with that flavoring and the oil. 2 ribs of celery. Again, celery and carrots were in the sofrito, but now you'll have visible pieces. 1 large red potato. Zucchini. 1 medium zucchini sliced thinly and quartered. And lastly, the string beans. 1/4 of a pound of beautiful fresh green beans. It smells very good. Okay, so this is getting ready. Now your other ingredients. One 28-ounce can of plum tomatoes. The San Marzanos are very excellent. A quarter of a head of Savoy cabbage. That's the nice crinkly cabbage. It's been chiffonaded finely. This adds a very nice texture to your minestrone. And then, oh, this is something, I don't know if you've seen it in the grocery store. It's cavolo nero, which is the Italian black kale. Very tasty and so good for you. So full of iron and other fantastic vitamins and minerals. So you need one bunch, about 5 ounces of that. And 4 cups of vegetable stock, and about 4 cups of the bean cooking water. And it's very nice to have all your ingredients ready before you really start doing this part of the soup. Okay, we're going to add our tomatoes. Now the tomatoes you just crush with a spoon, with your fingers, and add the juice. You hear the cooking stop, raise the heat a little bit. So now it's starting to look like minestrone. And now the cabbage. I love cabbage cooked in anything. That must be my Polish heritage. Very pretty. And then the kale, which I also love now. This is a fantastic kale. And now you can add also 4 cups of vegetable stock. If you happen to have it, and you should save rinds of Parmesan cheese in your freezer so you can add that to the soup. A chunk of prosciutto, like a 4-ounce end, and bay leaf. Some red hot pepper flakes. Start with a quarter of a teaspoon. You might find that you like more, but a quarter of a teaspoon really adds a lot of flavor to the soup. And 4 cups of the bean liquid. So here we have 6 cups. I will pour in 4. There. A little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper. Bring to a boil, reduce to a simmer, cover, and cook for 1 hour. So after 1 hour, add your beans, the cooked beans, right into the soup. These have to now cook for another 20 minutes, and your minestrone will be ready to serve. Covered. And we have one that's all done, finally. And let's show you what it looks like served. Put a nice big serving right there. And then some of the broth. Crusty, toasted Italian bread. A little spoon of homemade basil pesto right on top. Parmesan cheese. Let that cheese just melt into the hot soup. Nothing is better than a good homemade vinaigrette. Now, vinaigrettes are infinitely variable. You can experiment with different oils, such as grapeseed oil, olive oil, canola oil, hazelnut oil, walnut oil. You can also experiment with different kinds of acids, champagne vinegar, sherry vinegar, rice wine vinegar, one of my favorites, red wine vinegar, and even white or red balsamic vinegar. You can also add cheeses and spices and herbs, anchovies. But for such a simple preparation, it's vital to use the very, very best ingredients because there are only 5 or 6 ingredients, including salt and pepper, in a vinaigrette. You start first with the acid. And I like to put the acid right in either a salad bowl like this, if I'm going to be tossing a salad, or in a jar like this with a tight-fitting cap so you can shake it. This is the way I generally make a vinaigrette at home. I think I'll make a champagne vinegar vinaigrette today. And in your pantry, you should have a variety of good oils and a variety of good vinegars. So basically start with a tablespoon or 2 of the acid, and I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons of white champagne vinegar. And into the vinegar, I put a half a teaspoon of salt. And I like to mix that together. I like the salt to be dissolved. I remember when I was in France, the first time I ever went to France, and the waiter mixed the vinaigrette right at the table using 2 spoons like this and mixing the salt in the spoon and then putting it in the bowl. I've never forgotten that. So I always try to mix the salt into the acid. And now, this is going to be a vinaigrette to dress a lettuce salad. So I like to add a little bit of Dijon mustard. Dijon adds a very nice flavor, and about a half a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Keep both grainy and smooth Dijon mustard on hand in the refrigerator. A very versatile addition to a lot of different dishes that you make in your kitchen. And some black pepper. I'd say, about a quarter of a teaspoon freshly ground black pepper. And because this is going to address greens that just were picked out of my garden, add 1 shallot that's been very finely minced. Shallot is a member of the onion family. It has a very nice mild taste. It'll add crunch and additional flavor to the vinaigrette. So basically, that's the acid into which we will add oil. This one is just going to be a plain olive oil vinaigrette. Now, this is where the emulsification takes place. And the general proportions, 3 parts oil, 1 part acid. So just start drizzling, and you're going to see this vinegar in the bowl become emulsified in the oil. Now, you have to do this in a steady stream, just droplet by droplet, and whisk vigorously until you see a visible thickening take place. And if you measured this, you would see that we used 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and we're going to use approximately 6 tablespoons of oil, 3 to 1. Oh, see, it's already becoming thick and creamy, and it smells really good. It's important to add this in steady, slow stream. If you dumped it all in at once, it would take a lot longer to emulsify. But you see, you don't see any separation occurring here. It is really creamy and beautiful. Little tiny bit more. And really and truly, this is a very smart way to do it, because if you do it in the salad bowl in which you're going to make your salad, you haven't made too much dressing, you don't have leftover, and you can toss your salad right here, and you use up every single bit of the expensive oil and the expensive vinegar that you have invested in to make a great vinaigrette. So there it is, vinaigrette, simple vinaigrette. Now the jar method, very similar in terms of ingredients, but I'll just vary it a little bit. I think I'll do a rice wine vinaigrette. Again, measure your ingredients. I'll do 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. That means how many tablespoons of oil? 9. Salt, a little bit more salt this time. And rice wine vinegar has a kind of a little bit of a sweetness to it, and I enhance the sweetness with just a pinch of sugar. I think it tastes really good. Black pepper. And we'll do a grapeseed oil. Very nice, almost flavorless oil, but it really mixes nicely with the rice wine vinaigrette. We're going to measure 9 tablespoons. Nine tablespoons of grapeseed oil. And I'm going to put a little bit of mustard. And shake. So this looks very nice. Of course, tastes very good. Very nice, light vinaigrette. You can add fresh coriander to this, chopped. You could do chives. You could add shallots to this one if you like. But this will be very nice over butter lettuce or any very delicate greens like mesclun salad. Now, both of these could be done in a blender, which would last longer than those made with a whisk or a jar. And if you look at this, you don't see any separation at all. It's still very nicely emulsified. So there it is, lesson number 1, vinaigrette. Very easy to make. No need to go out and buy jarred salad dressings when you can make vinaigrettes so very easily. And your salad if you've washed your salad very, very well and spun it dry, make sure it is really dry, because dry salad greens and cold and crispy are essential when making a good salad. I wash mine very well in this deep water in the sink. I make sure that every leaf is pristine, and I just put all the salad in a bowl lined with a flour sack towel like this, put it like this in the refrigerator to chill until dinner time. You can also cover it with a piece of plastic wrap to prevent any wilting whatsoever, and then put it right on top of the dressing like this. If the salad is wet, it will not take the dressing. If the leaves are too big, tear. And the quickest way to ruin a good salad is to add too much dressing or dressing it way too long before serving. Salads are best tossed right before serving. Light, nice tossing like this. Remember, you can always add more dressing, but you can't take the dressing away. So here is a lovely salad piled high on a plate. Serve it with a piece of crusty herb toast. And you know, guests will come back for more. This is a really great salad and a great vinaigrette.
We're going to do the Crostini's because you wanted to make those.
Yes, I do. And tell us what Crostini's are.
Crostini is basically a breadstick from the Turin, in Turin, Italy. That's where they were dated back to. And these are hand-stretched. They're not machine-made. You know, some pasta is forced out through a machine.
Right.
Those really perfect breadsticks you see in restaurants, those
Extruded.
are forced through. Right.
Yeah.
And then these are all hand-stretched, and they come... no two look alike. They're very
so
beautiful.
and so tasty. And if you have those on your table, no matter what you're serving, everybody's going to start munching on those. They're great with cocktails, too.
Absolutely.
So should I
Wrap
start
some prosciutto
proofing
around.
the yeast?
Yes. Always
So
proof our yeast.
1 3/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast in a 1/4 cup of warm water, not hot.
Right. And then we have 3 3/4 cups of flour here, and a little bit of honey, which, you know, yeast loves, a little sugar. 1 1/2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil.
2 1/2 teaspoons of salt. And I love your use of salt. I love. John has a really unique way of using salt, and you use it
pretty
in
much
ice
everywhere.
cream. Yeah, ice cream every place.
And then this is 1 1/4 cups of water. Now, the only thing that I try to hold back is just a little bit of the water, because you never know if the flour is going to absorb it all.
Right.
So we make a well.
But now, what kind of flour are you using?
This is unbleached, unbromated King Arthur flour, and we pour it right down.
I remember when you went up to King Arthur to the baking school.
Yeah, several times.
And John has been so avid in his in continuing to educate himself to new techniques, to new everything, and I love that about you too.
Right. So
what are you doing?
Well,
you're going to knead with that?
Yep. This is what, when I was in Italy, we learned this recipe in Bologna. We did it right on the board. One bad thing about that is, you know, you create that well. Yeah, it's a mess. So
Should I
here,
put this in the yeast?
No, that was proofed. We had one proofed
already. Oh, you had it proofed
right.
already. Oh, okay.
So we're just going to bring it all together to a fine mass. It's a nice, soft, supple dough.
Did you say a fine mess?
Mass. M-A-S.
Mass, okay.
Okay. So then this just comes together, and then it's...
I think you're going to need the extra water.
No, I'm not going to need the extra water. But what I wanted to show you, because...
Can I do this?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you ruined it.
No.
I wanted to pop it. I love popping that. It's such a fun thing to do.
Okay, so the way that we get this texture, which is semolina flour, is we just heavily put it on the board, and you can hand that dough to me.
Okay.
It kind of pours out.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, so you olive oiled the bowl.
Exactly. And what that olive oil is going to do now is help us to get that semolina. Now, this is the fun part. I mean, you just kind of stretch it.
So that adds a crunchiness to the breadsticks.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But
nice.
also prevents it from sticking to your sill pad or your baking pad.
This makes how many?
This is going to make about 4 dozen.
See? Not too much dough, and 4 dozen.
There's so many ways of doing these. You can roll them, or you can stretch them just like this. You can see how easily they come.
Oh, yeah. Well, the dough is so nice and
you can roll
wet and soft.
Exactly. But that's exactly how I was taught to make it.
Oh, yeah, banging them.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I was, too.
Exactly.
By you.
And then...
And so now you have 150 recipes, so that
Right.
one's going to be too big
Yes,
in the
so
book.
you can make these almost the full size of the sheet pan.
How do you divide those recipes?
Chapters, just like your books. We do cookies, we do tarts, we do layer cakes.
And you love layer cakes.
I love layer cakes.
Yeah, and
the
you
coconut one,
you
the
make such
chocolate.
beautiful.
The
Now,
Lindsay
oops,
squares.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
If it breaks, just forget it.
No, not at all.
Oh,
you
start
can
it over
just
again?
absolutely.
Okay.
We don't waste anything.
So what are the standout recipes, would you say?
Coconut cake. I love the chocolate layer cake. I love the raspberries Lindsay squares. Pretty much, I don't know. It's my books.
I think we're out of space on that one.
Yeah, this is it. So anyway, these are going to go into a 325-degree oven.
Do you let them rise again?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Cover them a little. They can stay out like this. You can cover them. Let them puff up a little. Then you bake them at 325, 12 to 15 minutes.
And this is what you get.
Yeah. And now, if they ever become soggy again, it's like a biscotti cookie where you can just put them back in the oven and let them dry out again.
Right.
So we have black pepper. We have rosemary. We have tomato, sun-dried tomato.
So good. And you can do sage, you can do
You could do any
parsley,
herb. You can even do
anything.
cheeses if you want to add some Parmesan cheese.